Hey guys, hope you're having a great day. It's your boy Phil. So today, this is part 4 of my tour of the USS Intrepid, and we are going to visit the main hangar where some exhibits and some planes are displayed. So, what are we waiting for? Let's start the video. Hope you are having a great day, everyone. This is part 4 of my trip at the USS Intrepid Sea, Air and Space Museum. For this part, we are going to visit the main hangar deck, or one floor below the main flight deck, where some exhibits are located and some aircraft are also displayed. As you remember, in part 1, we visited the USS Growler, and in part 2, we visited the flight deck where most of the flight operations occur and where most of the planes are parked. And for part 3, we visited the superstructure, the bridge, or the island. And all the links for those videos will be provided in the description box below. But enough about that, let's go to the main hangar deck. So after passing some anti-aircraft guns, we go down to one flight of stairs to the first exhibit that I see. Project Gemini was NASA's second human spaceflight program. Carrying 2 astronauts, Project Gemini's purpose was the development of space travel techniques to support the Apollo missions to the moon. And this included orbital maneuvers, how to dock to another spacecraft, and how to man a ship while you're spinning in orbit. The Gemini capsule carried 2 astronauts per space mission, and it's really cramped. So imagine being in this position from hours to days. Because for each successive Gemini missions, the missions got longer. Another thing that they learned is the importance of the heat shield to protect the astronauts as they re-enter the atmosphere of the Earth. Since the spacecraft experiences thousands of degrees, they must be protected until the astronauts land in the sea and eventually retrieved. Now, this was a very challenging exhibit. This challenge simulates the difficulty of keeping an airplane in level flight against strong winds from every direction. And as you can see, it was really hard to balance and keep the plane in level flight. Although it was very fun to try and how to be a pilot. And for the kids, there is also a replica of a mini submarine for kids to have fun. Another part of the kids' exhibit is a replica of the A6 intruder cockpit. I think the back of the seats were real, but they replaced it with a flat surface. And they took out the instrument panels as well, probably to make it more kid-friendly. This A6 intruder is the one that we featured when we went to the flight deck. Our next exhibit is a scale replica of the bridge, the command center, the island, or the superstructure. As you know from the previous video, this was where the officers give their commands, specifically the captain, and this room was very important because this was the part that controlled the ship's steering, navigation, combat readiness, communication, and all other functions of the ship. The Douglas A-4 Skyhawk was a naval multi-role aircraft that functions as both as a bomber and as a fighter aircraft. It can carry lots of bombs, and it can also dogfight as well. The Piasecki Retriever was a tandem rotor aircraft used for search and rescue operations for the US Navy. Like most helicopters, their primary specialty is hovering above the sea in order to rescue downed aviators, soldiers, marines, and all soldiers during the Vietnam War. And back in World War II, they used this primitive helicopter used to rescue troops in and out of the battlefield. Note the stretchers on the side of this small and versatile helicopter, and this was used to carry injured troops back to safety to and from the battlefield. And you kinda have an idea of the flight controls of this helicopter. The North American FJ-3 Fury is the naval carrier version of the F-86 Sabre of the Air Force. The primary rival of this plane is the MiG-15 and has the distinct characteristic of having a large intake in the front of the fuselage. And these are the machine guns or the cannons on its side. After passing an anti-aircraft gun, we now go to the Grumman Avenger torpedo bomber. This was the primary torpedo bomber of the United States Navy during World War II and is a very large plane, with folding wings as you can see to save space in the carrier. And this torpedo plane carries a very large torpedo, about 1,000 to 2,000 pounds, and these torpedoes are used to sink ships. The ball turret used by dive bombers and torpedo planes to protect from enemy attacks from 6 o'clock. And this is a typical example of a very large brass propeller, it's basically as big as a room. The optical landing system used to guide naval aviators in landing in a carrier, especially at night and in stormy weather. They also include exhibits for a Navy side chair, an ejection seat, seats for the ready room or the mission control room, a dental chair, and a highline chair used to transfer personnel to and from a ship. This World War II USS Intrepid scale model was amazing. As you can see, it still has that straight flight deck. But as you know, the USS Intrepid, as it went to the Cold War, was converted to the traditional angled flight deck as you see in modern US Navy carrier. The USS Intrepid includes this hangar deck armor plate, which is 2.5 inches that protects the vital areas of the ship. The flight deck itself is lightly armored and primarily made out of wood, in order for it to be as light as possible and to be easily repaired when damaged. The main composition of the body of the ship consists of steel plates welded together to form its steel hull. Moving along is a Lego replica of the USS Intrepid for the kids, the USS Intrepid Naval Bell, and of course a tribute to Zachary and Elizabeth Fisher, the founders of USS Intrepid. Moving along, we make our way to the anchor chain room where we are passing the officer's berthing room or the officer's sleeping quarters. And this anchor chain room was really large. And that room is really large to house a very big anchor. You can't really see the anchor, but you can see how big these chains are, along with very large ropes as well. Moving along, we are passing the enlisted men's sleeping quarters. And further down, we are now in the mess hall kitchen where the meals are prepared. Further down is the enlisted men's hall, and you can imagine how wide and how big this ship is in order to accommodate this much people, as well as the amenities of a small city. And like a small city, they also have their own sick bay and hospital for injured or wounded sailors. Finally, we end our tour with the Vietnam War Memorial Exhibit to honor the men and women who served during the Vietnam War. And you can even pick up the phone to listen to the recorded stories during the war. Thank you for watching this video, and I really do hope that you enjoy it, and thank you for your continued support. And as always, like, comment, and subscribe. See you later in the next video, guys. Take care.